Cody,
Yes, sir.
are we ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm calling to order this hearing. This is a public hearing of the Committee of the Whole of the Council of the District of Columbia. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chair of the Council and Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Friday, March 29th, 2024. The time is 9:25 in the morning, and this hearing is being held in person in room 412 of the Johnny Wilson Building. The subject of this hearing is consideration of PR Proposed Resolution 25-636 entitled District of Columbia Retirement Board Joseph M. Bress Confirmation Resolution of 2024. This resolution was introduced by me on Friday, February 9th. So that's a little over a month ago. The stated purpose of this resolution is to confirm the reappointment, actually it is to make the reappointment of Joseph Bress to the District of Columbia Retirement Board for a term ending January 27, 2028. The Retirement Board is an independent agency of the District of Columbia government with exclusive authority to manage the pension funds of the DC Police Officers and Firefighters Retirement Fund, as well as the Teachers Retirement Fund. The DC Retirement Board is also the benefits administrator for the plans associated with each fund. The current value of the funds together is approximately $10 billion. The purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony as to the fitness of the nominee. I do want to say we have a hearing or two following this with some other confirmations. This is a little different than a confirmation. This is actually an appointment. The council has one appointment to the retirement board. Three. The council has three appointments to the retirement board. I believe the mayor has three appointments to the retirement board. And then current and retired teachers, firefighters, and police officers have appointments to the retirement board. And the retirement board manages the fund as well as the benefits administrator. And the fund is fully funded, which means according to actuarial assumptions that the retirement board uses, the funds are at roughly 100%, maybe a little bit more than 100% funded in terms of future liabilities. And that's good because most states and jurisdictions are not fully funded. The record in this matter will close at 5 p.m. this coming Monday, April 1st. So anyone who wishes to submit comments has until Monday, close of business, to submit their comments. As I said, this is an appointment. It's not a confirmation. And with that, we have one witness and two folks at the table, which makes me think we might have two folks who want to speak. Mr. Blanchard, do you want to speak? Very briefly. Very briefly. I hope you're going to say nice things. Otherwise, that throws this hearing into a tizzy. Turn on your microphone.
I will speak very briefly and be nice.
Proceed.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Lyle Blanchard. I am also a DC Council appointed trustee on the Retirement Board, and I'm here this morning to support the nomination of Mr. Bress for another term as trustee on the Retirement Board. And as evidence of that support, the Retirement Board just a few weeks ago elected officers for this year, which it does annually. And I'm happy to say that there was unanimous support for Mr. Bress for another term as chair. Okay. I'm happy to say that there was unanimous support at the board meeting a few weeks ago for Mr. Bress as chair and officer of the board. So that he has my support. I think he's very experienced, very knowledgeable, even-handed, and I welcome his his renomination to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. Mr. Bress? Turn your microphone on. It's on.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Committee of the Whole. I'd first like to thank Mr. Blanchard, who is here with me today. As you know, another council appointee is Adam Weirs, who could not be with us today. And as you may know, Mr. Blanchard is chair of our Legislative Committee, and Mr. Weirs is chair of the Investment Committee. So I think that, assuming I would be confirmed, but I think your appointees have contributed well to the board as a whole. My name is Joseph Bress, and I am seeking approval for another term as trustee on the District of Columbia Retirement Board. I have served as a council appointee since 2009 and believe my service has positively impacted the board and been part of the reason the retirement fund has been stable and actuarially more than 100% funded. During my time on the board, the economy has had its ups and downs. The downs, of course, were the difficult times to assure the viability of the fund, from the economic crisis in 2007-8, before I became a trustee, to COVID and last year's inflation and interest increase. The board has moved with care to protect the fund for its retirees and the future retirees who are police, firefighters, and teachers. In 2023, the fund grew by 12.5% net return. Since the beginning of the district fiscal year, this fiscal year, the return has been 8.1%. Currently, the fund is at $11.5 billion, which has been a high mark for the fund. Before I was appointed to the board, the DCRB suspended investment in private equity because of the 2007-8 fiscal crisis. In 2012, after I was on the board, the fund moved back to investing in private equity, and that has been a cornerstone of our increased retirement returns from that point forward. The board must continue to invest wisely to assure our 100% actuarial return. We have done that with the help of our investment advisor in selection of investments that are contributing to our performance. Of course, we must review our asset allocation on a regular basis every 3 to 5 years. We're scheduled to do that again over the next year. The support of the council and the mayor to maintain support of the funding of the retirement system according to our actuarial projections each year makes a difference in the viability of the fund. We thank the council for that. This has allowed the board to invest with the employee contributions to assure our returns. As you may be aware, the board's 100% actuarial return not only funds the payments to retirees, but must also fund the administration of the board. We may be the only or one of the only retirement systems that does this. So our work is a responsibility where we take great care to reasonably fund retiring payments as well as our operation. I believe that my continued contribution will add to our ability to operate with excellence. I have served as chair of the board for the last several years, and as Mr. Blanchard said, I've been reappointed for another year by my colleagues on the board to be chair. During that time, we as a board have overseen management's work to streamline our investment process, reduce our investment fees, and more timely invest in the funds that the board has approved. This also contributes to our earning capability and reduces our costs. The board is working with management to improve our benefit administration to have timely payments to retirees. Such a result depends on the relationship of the board with its partner agencies, the Metropolitan Police Department, Fire and Emergency Medical Services, and the DC Public Schools. This requires accurate data collection from them and transmission to the board to assure timely payments. All these activities ensure that our investment strategy is able to be implemented well. My colleagues on the board work together positively to assure that the DCRB is well funded and protected. I seek your approval for another term to add to this track record and continue in the service of the fund for current and future retirees. Thank you again for this nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Bress. Thank you for your statement. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your willingness to continue serving. Since you're on the board, you are familiar with how much time is required. Are you able to meet the requirements, the time requirements to serve on the commission, on the board? And do you know of any potential conflicts of interest that would affect your serving on the board? Have conflicts ever come up in your service? Microphone, microphone.
I'm off, not for me. And I don't think for any of my colleagues on the board.
Do you foresee any possible conflicts coming
Not
up?
now.
Okay. If there was a conflict, how would you handle it?
The most immediate is recusal if it's an issue in which I might have an interest. And as a result, or an appearance of an interest, then I would recuse. If it was continued conflict over which I could not escape in dealing with my responsibilities in general, then I would have to resign.
I asked you this in the pre-hearing questions and I got your response. I always ask this anyway. Do you have any outstanding liability for taxes, fees, or other payments to the district, federal, or other state or local governments?
No.
The retirement board was kind of a little bumpy a few years ago. I shouldn't say the retirement board, but the organization, the operation was a little bumpy a few years ago. I won't go into details, but you know what I'm talking about. How did that come to be and how can we be confident that it won't happen again?
I would like to talk in general terms.
Sure.
And that came to be because there was some issue with interstaff relationships that affected the ability of the staff to provide services to the board. The board became aware of that through comments that came to it from staff members at investment hearings, which, as you may know, are closed to the public. That caused the board to have to reevaluate how it considered going forward with both staff and leadership. Over the last 2 years, the board coalesced and appointed a new executive director, J.P. Balistreri. He has done a very good job of bringing the staff together, of hiring new staff that mesh with both the present staff and work well with the board. I think that since that period, which is over 2 years ago, I could say, for want of a better word, it's stabilized. We're in a good position, both in terms of management and its relationship to staff at the board, as well as at the board administration, as well as with the board.
In your answer, you mentioned the board coalesced, came together. Would you say the board is working well together?
Yes, I think we all have one common goal. We first have our legal responsibility of our fiduciary duty. But the second to that is we have a common goal, whether we've been appointed by the council, by the mayor, or by the active or retiree segments of police, firefighters, and teachers, to assure that the retirement system is well funded to protect the retirement for these folks after they retire. It's important because they look forward to having put in the years they have in their different services to be able to count on their retirement. As you know, if you watch articles in the press or financial news, there have been some retirement systems that have failed and have either in the private sector to be bailed out by the United States government, or have had to deal with states to try to underwrite what happened. The fact that we're over 100% actuarially valued is not an accident. It's attributed to the board's continued focus on maintaining its investment position. The future, of course, raises questions because we take over more retirees as a result of the federal retirees who we still administer and who we are underwritten by the federal government for that portion of our program. And we'll go to full administration for retirees of the city in the areas that I mentioned. That will require a focus because the only thing we know it's going to happen is there will be more retirees. The we can project the market as we do in our actuarial evaluations, but we can be assured we have more retirees coming and we have a staff to fund. That requires the board to be careful as we move forward to assure that we continue our present position of being 100% or better actuarially funded.
Part of your answer with regard to why there were problems and why the board is in a better place, or the organization is in a better place, was you mentioned a new executive director, and you indicated you think very highly of him, but also less internal strife. How can you be sure that in terms of personnel that we've completely turned the page there and that that won't crop up again?
Well, there's the famous quote, "The future ain't what it used to be." I don't know
Is
that
that
we.
Yogi Berra?
No, it's a French philosopher. But leaving that aside, we can't predict whether the staff will be with it, with it or without issues between or amongst them. Obviously, everyday activity, no matter with whom you work, there are moments, I'll call them. But based upon the last several years since Mr. Balistrieri has become executive director and new appointments have been made to board staff as a result of searches by him, we have seen a much more collaborative activity by the board staff than before. And we have to trust in the executive director assuring that that continues, or if there is a problem, bringing that to the board's attention as to whether or if the board should be involved in its resolution.
One last question. In your statement, you said we may be the only or one of the few retirement systems that does that, referring to, I believe, not only administering the investments, but also the administration or the benefits payments. Say more.
We fund ourselves, as you know.
Yes.
We fund it from, the board was established that way, that it would fund its own administration of staff and the board through the fund. In order to be, when I said that, I'm not aware really of another board that self-funds its administration. Usually government underwrites the administration to preserve the sanctity of the fund. Our responsibility, since we know that we have to underwrite our own administration, is to assure that our investments not only cover the needs of the retirees as time moves on, but also the ability of the board to operate to deliver those services. I say one or one of the only because I really don't know of another that does it, but I don't want to discount the fact that there might be in this country.
I know you're familiar with New York State.
Yes.
So the state government there pays for the administration?
Yes.
Interesting. I don't have any other questions for you. If there's anything else you want to submit by 5 p.m. on Monday?
I'm fine with what I've submitted. If you have anything else you desire that I submit, please let me know.
All right. Well, I think I'm fine with what you have submitted. Thank you again for your service and your willingness to continue serving.
Thank you.
And with that, I am going to call an end to this hearing, and then I will start up the next one. Maybe I should end this one first. The time is 9:45 a.m. and this hearing is adjourned.